Chapter 24. As I rose and dressed, I thought over what had happened and wondered if it were a dream. I could not be certain of the reality till I had seen Mr. Rochester again and heard him renew his words of love and promise. While arranging my hair, I looked at my face in the glass and felt it was no longer plain. There was hope in its aspect and life in its color, and my eyes seemed as if they had beheld the font of fruition and borrowed beams from the lustrous ripple. I had often been unwilling to look at my master, because I feared he could not be pleased at my look, but I was sure I might lift my face to his now, and not cool his affection by its expression. I took a plain but clean and light summer dress from my drawer, and put it on. It seemed no attire had ever so well become me, because none had I ever worn in so blissful a mood. So, because she's in love, her whole countenance changes. She just looks more beautiful, which I'm sure you guys will have the same happen to you when you guys fall in love when you're 25. I was not surprised when I ran down into the hall to see that a brilliant June morning had succeeded to the tempest of the night, and to feel through the open glass door the breathing of a fresh and fragrant breeze. Nature must be gladsome when I was so happy. A beggar woman and her little boy, pale, ragged objects both, were coming up the walk, and I ran down and gave them all the money I happened to have in my purse, some 3 or 4 shillings. Good or bad, they must partake of my jubilee. The rooks cawed, the blither birds sang, but nothing was so merry or so musical as my own rejoicing heart. Mrs. Fairfax surprised me by looking out of the window with a sad countenance and saying gravely, "Miss Eyre, will you come to breakfast?" During the meal she was quiet and cool, but I could not undeceive her then. I must wait for my master to give explanations, and so must she. I ate what I could, and then I hastened upstairs. I met Adele leaving the schoolroom. "Where are you going? It is time for lessons." "Mr. Rochester has sent me away to the nursery." Where is he?" "In there," pointing to the apartment she had left, and I went in, and there he stood. "Come and bid me good morning," said he. I gladly advanced, and it was not merely a cold word now, or even a shake of the hand that I received, but an embrace and a kiss. Notice that they are unchaperoned again. Not that there's that many people at Thornfield, but still, it's improper. It seemed natural. It seemed genial to be so well loved, so caressed by him. "Jane, you look blooming and smiling and pretty," said he. "Truly pretty this morning. Is this my pale little elf? Is this my mustard seed?" Mustard seed was one of the fairies in A Midsummer Night's Dream, so that's another allusion to Shakespeare. "This little sunny-faced girl with a dimpled cheek and rosy lips, the satin-smooth hazel hair, and the radiant hazel eyes?" I had green eyes, reader, but you must excuse the mistake. For him, they were new-dyed, I suppose. So I would call that, kind of a red flag if he doesn't know the color of her eyes. But she has the rose-colored glasses on now. She can only see the good in him, and so she is ignoring that. "It is Jane Eyre, sir. Soon to be Jane Rochester," he added. "In 4 weeks, Janet, not a day more. Do you hear that?" I did, and I could not quite comprehend it. It made me giddy. The feeling the announcement sent through me was something stronger than was consistent with joy, something that smote and stunned. It was, I think, almost fear. "You blushed, and now you are white, Jane. What is that for?" "Because you gave me a new name, Jane Rochester, and it seems so strange." "Yes, Mrs. Rochester," said he. "Young Mrs. Rochester, Fairfax Rochester's girl bride. That's kind of weird." "It can never be, sir, nor does it sound likely. Human beings can never enjoy complete happiness in this world," which this could be foreshadowing. "I was not born for a different destiny to the rest of my species. To imagine such a lot befalling me is a fairy tale, a daydream, which I can and will realize. I shall begin today. This morning I wrote to my banker in London to send me certain jewels he has in his keeping, heirlooms for the ladies of Thornfield. In a day or 2 I hope to pour them into your lap, for every privilege, every attention shall be yours that I would accord a peer's daughter, if about to marry her." "Oh, sir, never rain jewels. I don't like to hear them spoken of. Jewels for Jane Eyre sounds unnatural and strange. I would rather not have them." "I will myself put the diamond chain round your neck and the circlet on your forehead, which it will become, for nature at least has stamped her patent of nobility on this brow, Jane, and I will clasp the bracelets on these fine wrists and load these fairy-like fingers with rings." So this is so interesting because she's telling him, "I don't want jewels," and he's not even hearing her. When in the past he has paid so much attention to her, even when she thinks he's not noticing her. So is this a red flag? Is he just... or did he want someone to be his equal or not? And this is a big difference between the Bronte sisters and Jane Austen is Rochester's not a perfect romantic hero. Jane's not a perfect romantic heroine. But if you look at Darcy and Elizabeth in Pride and Prejudice, they are perfect. And so having these like very realistic conversations and like couples ignoring each other's wishes, like that's very realistic. But I don't know, almost red flag like, right? It's like just when you think, okay, who gaslights their person right before they propose? Also kind of weird, right? And so it's like I love Rochester, but I'm also like, what are you doing, dude? You know what I mean? And so you have very complex feelings for these complex characters. No, sir, think of other subjects and speak of other things and in another strain. Don't address me as if I were a beauty. I'm your plain, Quakerish governess. You are a beauty in my eyes, and a beauty just after the desire of my heart, delicate and aerial. Puny and insignificant, you mean. You are dreaming, sir, or you are sneering. For God's sake, don't be ironical. I will make the world acknowledge you a beauty too, he went on, while I really became uneasy at the strain he had adopted, because I felt he was either deluding himself or trying to delude me. I will attire my Jane in satin and lace, and she shall have roses in her hair, and I will cover the head I love best with a priceless veil. And then you won't know me, sir, and I shall not be your Jane Eyre any longer, but an ape in a harlequin's jacket, a jay in borrowed plumes. I would as soon see you, Mr. Rochester, tricked out of stage trappings, as myself clad in a court lady's robe. And I don't call you handsome, sir, though I love you most dearly, far too dearly to flatter you. Don't flatter me. He pursued his theme, however, without noticing my deprecation. This very day I shall take you in the carriage to Millcote, and you must choose some dresses for yourself. I told you we shall be married in 4 weeks. The wedding is to take place quietly in the church down below yonder, and then I shall waft you away at once to town. After a brief stay there, I shall bear my treasure to regions nearer the sun, to French vineyards and Italian plains, and she shall see whatever is famous in old story and in modern record. She shall taste, too, of the life of cities. She shall learn to value herself by just comparison with others. Shall I travel, and with you, sir? You shall sojourn at Paris, Rome, and Naples, at Florence, Venice, and Vienna. All the ground I have wandered over shall be retrodden by you. Wherever I stamped my hoof, your sylph's foot shall step also. 10 years since, I flew through Europe half mad, with disgust, hate, and rage as my companions. Now I shall revisit it healed and cleansed, with a very angel as my comforter.